order.
Roll call for the Erie City Council meeting of Wednesday, April 15th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Councilmember Brzezinski is absent. Councilmember Flores.
Here.
Councilmember Horton.
Here.
Councilmember Pohl.
Here.
Councilmember Titus.
Here.
Councilmembers Schaaf and Troop are also absent.
We're going to go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance here, but we're going to first take a moment of silence. And I also want to hold space for the young lives that we lost and the young infant who passed in this most recent fire. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes for the April 1st, 2026 meeting, as well as bills for payment for April 17th and April 24th, 2026. Councilmember Flores.
Yes.
Horton.
Yes.
Pohl.
Yes.
And Titus.
Yes. So this will take us to our, just a reminder for those who aren't here, we have a public hearing tonight at 7 p.m. Just to kind of give a quick run through, we will start after our presentation into public comment. If we still have public comment by guessing the size tonight, we will. It will have to pause for the public hearing, and then we will re-engage in public comment after. And in that public comment, if there's things that you would like to talk about that you hear in the public hearing, that would be a great time to also bring those up. So we will go ahead and get started, though, with the Erie Loop Bikeway presentation.
Good evening, Council. My name is Jackie Spry. I'm the Bureau Chief of Planning and Zoning at the City of Erie, and I'm joined tonight with Leanne Parmenter, who is the City Engineer and Assistant Director of Public Works, as well as Bill Hayden, who is the Project Manager of all things related to bikeways. So, tonight, we are going to be talking about the active Erie Transportation Plan, as well as the French Street Bikeway project. Sorry. Okay. To begin, you know these places all too well, and you've seen these situations on the road. As many of you already know, the way we do transportation in Erie and in most of the U.S. and North America is problematic. For decades now, we've been building roads to move cars from point A to point B, and as fast as possible, and everyone else and everything else is secondary. Speed of vehicle is the driving force, and this has numerous negative consequences and effects. These photos that you see on the screen today are not places that are friendly, they're not necessarily safe, and they're definitely not inviting. One of the negative consequences that has been studied for years and has alarming data is the increase in pedestrian fatalities. What you see on the screen here is a graph showing the increase in fatalities over the years from 2010 to 2022. These are alarming statistics that show pedestrian fatalities have almost doubled since 2010. And it's not just overall numbers of fatalities, but it's also an equity issue, as we discussed in caucus today. This is not an issue that affects all people equally. These are fatality rates for pedestrians, which you see on here, from people of all different races and ethnicities. You can see that some people, particularly the Black African American and American Indian and Alaska Native, are killed in alarmingly much higher rates than the average population. There are other alarming statistics as well. Vulnerable populations of elderly people are much more likely to be victims of traffic violence, and trends have gotten worse over the years. Now I'd like us to drill down a little bit into the City of Erie data, and what you're going to see in the next couple of maps are maps and data points that come directly out of the active transportation plan, and really were the driving forces, including public engagement, that made the plan, that created the recommendations and strategies around that. This map here shows the percentage of population that is disabled in Erie. Census tracts with higher concentration of disabled people are darker purple in color. In the census tract located in the center of downtown, 764 residents have a disability, which represents over half of the population in that tract. This next map shows the percent of population in Erie that is 65 years of age and older. Census tracts with higher concentrations of youth, 0 to 18, are in the two lightest colors, and census tracts with higher concentrations of seniors are teal in color. Just one fact that I found is, according to a Planning Complete Streets for the Aging of America by AARP, 47% of older Americans say it is unsafe to cross a major street near their home. This data point is one of the most important. Over 19% of Erie households do not have access to a vehicle. Census tracts with higher concentrations of households without access to a vehicle are red in color on this map. In certain neighborhoods, that percentage is much higher. In the census tract located in the center of downtown, 65% of households have no vehicle available, which represents 731 households in that area. Other census tracts, especially in parts of East Bayfront, East Side Grassroots Coalition, and Little Italy, have rates exceeding 40%. 40%. This map that you've seen before. This is coming right out of our 2025 Safety Action Plan. This focuses on fatalities. As you know, the plan focused on fatalities and also suspected severe injuries. Those are injuries that have life-changing impacts. Those red dots on the map are from 2019 to 2023. And we have had 34 fatalities. That's including pedestrian and bicycle fatalities, as well as vehicular. And then we've had 166 suspected severe injuries over the last 5 years. And this just breaks it down just a little bit further to show you per year the number of fatalities that we've had from 2019 to 23. So 7 in 19, 5 in 20, 9 in 21, 9 in 2022, and 4 in 2023. 30% of all of those crashes in Erie are caused by vehicles hitting pedestrians, and that's what we really want to focus on in this presentation tonight. Oops. Sorry. There has been an increase in the number of crashes involving pedestrians and bicyclists in Erie over the past 10 years, including an especially high number of pedestrian crashes in 2023. Pedestrians and bicyclist crashes over time are shown in both of these graphs here. Now, our data for both the active transportation plan and also for the safety action plan, it really stopped in 2023 because the plan was completed in 24, so they had the data from 23 for the safety action plan. And so we, as you see, we're showing in our graphs that it's to 2023. However, the City of Erie has been continuing to track the fatal crashes, pedestrian crashes, and also bicycle crashes. In 2024, we had 12 deaths Of those 12, 5 of those were pedestrians. And of those 5 pedestrians, 4 of those pedestrians were on 12th Street. Oops. This is showing Sergeant Dunmeyer, the head of the City of Erie's Accident Investigation Unit, who also was on our study committee for the Safety Action Plan, provided me the following numbers that you'll see over a period of 6 years from 21 to 26. These are non-fatal pedestrian numbers and non-fatal bicycle numbers. These are just the ones that are reported. So we have 237 pedestrians that have been hit in a 6-year span that have been reported. And we have 105 bicycle crashes, again, that have been reported over a 5-year span. And I wanted to share with you, and many of you I'm sure are aware of this was our last incident of a bicycle fatality that happened just this past December, where a man was hit and struck by a vehicle on 8th and Liberty. It was a hit and run, and that man passed away. Another emerging safety concern for the city is the rise of the e-bike related injuries. A recent article highlighted insights from a UPMC Hammett trauma surgeon who reported a significant increase in e-bike accidents, averaging approximately 12 emergency department admissions per month during the summer. I was shocked by that number. Many of these incidents involve riders traveling at higher speeds, like Leanne mentioned in caucus. They can go anywhere from 20 to 28 miles an hour, and then operating on sidewalks and interacting unpredictably with both pedestrians and motor vehicles. So, what did we do about it all? Well, in 2021, as I mentioned, Council adopted the active transportation plan, and some of the council members that are still on this members are the ones that unanimously approve the safety action plan. Briefly going to go over the safety action plan. The plan was really to improve conditions for people walking and biking in the city. It's a comprehensive plan. It's to provide safe, comfortable, and accessible streets for all ages and abilities, and its goal is really an interconnected network of bike lanes, trails, and pedestrian paths based on community input and professional analysis. But really, what is it? It's shaping the future of our streets. It's really the goal of that, to make it accessible for all, and I emphasize all. I did want to touch upon also quickly, because I'm sure that you can put it all together, but some of the other benefits that really come with an active transportation plan and having accessibility for all. Community. Active transportation is linked to greater social interaction with neighbors, lower depression rates, increased independence for children, older adults, and people with disabilities. Health. If people can move around outside a car, they can walk to their job, they can go and they can bike. It's going to lead to positive health outcomes, reductions in obesity, depression, diabetes, and other chronic diseases. Economy, we talked a little bit about that at caucus. Not only is the benefit is that it's creating a safer street and less injuries and damage from collision and accidents, but there are benefits to local businesses. People can walk to them, they can bike, and many, many studies show that sales and employment rates and property values can increase when streets are designed for all users. And lastly, the environment, and this one is fairly simple. If you encourage people to walk, bike, or transit, it's better for the environment. And this is just a slide expressing that, the safety action plan was complete. We were awarded $20 million, and some of that money is definitely slated to go towards the active multimodal uses. I also wanted to mention here that this plan did not emerge in a vacuum. It was built upon transportation recommendations included in Erie Refocused and other planning studies, and really more than a decade's worth of recommendations coming out of county, state, and local planning efforts, all recommending the same thing, safe streets for all. And also that there was a public engagement component. It was led by a steering committee of various stakeholders who had vested interest of mobility in public spaces, and a series of public engagements and also online engagement as well. And now that we're getting into the bike network part of it, one goal of the active transportation plan, as I mentioned, were these low-stress bike network. A low-stress bike network is a connected system of on- and off-road bikeways that are comfortable enough for most people to use. These networks are usually made up of streets with low volume, low speed, like the residential street that you see here. And this shows what was proposed in the active transportation plan. There are 5 proposed east-west bikeways in Erie, spaced approximately half a mile apart. And you can see those on the screen. And then we have the north-south corridors where those are spaced approximately 1 mile apart. And I do want to mention that the French Street Bikeway is part of the north-south connection. And here again, this is another map that comes directly out of the active transportation plan. This is the full network that was proposed. So anything in blue is the full network that was proposed for the bikeways. And then the next map, anything in green on this map is what has already been completed by the city of Erie. So those are projects that were not funded by the general fund, but funded by state and federal funding that Leanne is going to talk about next. So this is the full network that you see here, as with the completed bike paths. And Leanne?
So we have varying funding sources for active transportation. We have transportation alternative set-asides. These are all state and federal dollars. PennDOT Multimodal Fund, Safe Streets and Roads for All, and that's the one that we are awarded the $20 million. The Highway Safety Improvement Program, the MPO funds bike lanes, and Carbon Reduction Program. And the mayor recently created a grants team, so hopefully we'll be able to work with them to get additional grants as well. This French Street Bikeway was part of the Transportation Improvement Program since 2017. This was funded through the MPO and the Carbon Reduction Program. And it's a priority for us because it's identified in the Active Erie program. We have bike lanes on 10th Street that provides connectivity for people. We also have proposed 19th through 21st, another bike lane that's in the Active Erie program. So it's providing connectivity. Eventually, we're hoping to get up to 38th Street to provide that whole Erie loop. As we said before, this was not funded through any tax dollars, it's state money. So these are cross-sections of what the bike lane will look like. So this is 10th to 12th Street. There'll be 2 11.5-foot through lanes, a 6-foot bike lane, a 3-foot painted buffer, and then we have the metered parking that will remain along the east side of French Street. From 12th to 14th, we currently have 3 very wide lanes. It's going to be reduced to 2 11.5-foot lanes, which should calm traffic by going into smaller lanes. We'll have the 6-foot bike lane with 3-foot buffer, and then we will be creating an 8-foot parking lane in front of the Charter School for Excellence. Currently, some people are parking in that through lane, which is unsafe, and so we're trying to create a safe space for them to park. From 14th to 21st, the 6-foot bike lane, the 3-foot buffer, and then the two 11.5-foot lanes. In this area, it's a little bit narrower going under the bridge. So that goes to 21st Street. From 21st to 26th, we will have the parking that will remain. You'll have 2 through lanes, and then one will have the sharrows so that it is shared lane to go up to 26th Street. We're hoping that that may be an interim condition so that when we go up to 38th Street, this may become a dedicated lane, but for now, we're having this be a sharrow. And that's it. Thank you. This is a picture we found of French Street and celebrating biking. So in 1966.
I look forward to us connecting the bike lanes to allow the Erie Bike Co-op to have access to a bike lane, because I know that that's off of the 436 East 26th Street. So
26.
it's going to be getting access. So, that's good to connect programs that are already offering repairs and they sell used bikes at a discount. So it's good.
Anything from council on the presentation? Okay. We have approximately 10, oh, go ahead. No, you're good? Okay. We have approximately 10 minutes between now and when the public hearing will start. I did want to share, I apologize, I should have shared this at the Okay, I'll start again. We have about 10 minutes between now and when the public hearing starts. I should have shared this at the beginning, so I apologize. We did have one agenda item, I had shared this in caucus, that we are pulling tonight as the person who had put it forward, Councilor Troop, is not present, and that is in regards to a street renaming. And so that's going to be pulled from the agenda tonight and to put back on the next agenda. So that anybody who is here for that, just wanted to give you that heads up. It's not because we're not going to move forward, it's just we're respecting the councilor who had brought it forward and making sure that they can be present. With that being said, we can go ahead and start actually, we're going to start here. Is anybody here for a repository sale? Anyone here for a repository sale? Anyone here for a repository sale? All right, so now what we will do is we have around 8 minutes of public comment, so 1.5 speakers can go. I would ask that you state your name clearly and that you give the municipality in which you reside, and know that you will have 5 minutes, so please be mindful. We'll have a timer going.
Moral failings in politics stem from prioritizing capitalistic gains over policies for the public good. Policies that reduce the social safety net are direct moral failings rather than mere policy differences. Common failings include neglecting the voiceless, vulnerable, and misusing power for profit over people. Poverty and living in substandard housing is demoralizing, leading to depression and despair. Death by despair is not a poetic phrase. Deaths by despair are people with their names on gravestones in cemeteries all over Erie. This mental health crisis is an ongoing affordability crisis, particularly regarding housing. There has been 19 suicides in the first 3 months of 2026. Coroner Lael Cook reports suicides remain higher than normal. This mental health crisis has disproportionately impacted Black Americans. These deaths are linked to long-standing systemic barriers resulting in economic instability. The GI Bill and the FHA policies, when implemented, spawned the redlining of the 1940s. These attitudes and actions were moral failings. with long tentacles that still reach down into the housing policies in Erie in the 21st century. I know this council has no say in the loaning of $7.6 million to Scott Enterprise. This is a moral failing when Erie children are malnourished, going to underfunded schools and returning to dilapidated homes. I went to CRIS today. They were to have a meeting at 3 o'clock because I have a whole nother thing that I was going to present to CRIS, but the meeting was canceled. And I don't have time, 5 minutes, to put this one and the other speech together. The antithesis to moral failings is moral integrity. Moral integrity is the bedrock of societal trust. Returning to moral integrity requires multifaceted approaches. Number one, enhancing transparency. Case in point, moving the caucus proceedings to a more public arena. Thank you, Dr. Titus. Number two, reimagining a culture of public service over self-interest. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for your Wednesday walk and talk. And also, I thank you for coming to JFK on Saturday. Number three, unity through dialogue and collaboration with all sectors of the city. Safety, number four, safety in physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual realms for all, especially of those who have the least among us, resulting in a new level of vibrant team workmanship. Thank you.
Thank you. We have roughly 4 minutes before the public hearing. If you want to keep your remarks in there, I just don't want to disrupt somebody when they're talking.
I got a little packet for everybody. I was here last meeting. I wonder if you can pass this out real quick. What I'm going to talk about is...
Could you just state your name and municipality?
My name is Mike Renzel. I'm from East Springfield, and I want to talk about affordability, crime, and I just was thinking that everyone should have equal access to law enforcement. I grew up in the Little Italy area, and as a young adult, I lived on the Lower East Side. But a couple of my tenants, I rented to this lady for 7 years, 8 years, and she's elderly. She walks with a walker. She's on oxygen, and she's low income. Oh, I'm sorry. And she's low income. And she doesn't have everything I have. And I worked for what I got, and I see her, and I know she's worked hard in her life. She just doesn't have a lot. She has a washer and dryer in her basement. She has a few things in her house, and her grandson wanted money and demanded it, destroyed my property. And that harmed me, and that's horrible. But when the city lets this happen to an elderly woman and her daughter, and nothing's done, she told me, her daughter told me, would you go to the PFA hearing with me and testify on our behalf because you've seen what this guy did? And I said, sure. And I have to go to the hearing, I think the 19th or the 21st. I'm just doing that to be a nice guy. I helped her move on the 7th of this month. I came with a pickup truck, my pickup truck, and loaded her stuff in my truck with her daughter because she couldn't afford to move. And now her rent is $900 for a 2-bedroom. She was paying $565 with me. And she didn't want to move. And she asked me not to stay where she lives because her grandson's in jail. She's afraid he's going to come out and destroy her house, rip the pipes out of it to sell for meth. As you can see on the second page of this packet, these are docket numbers of the criminal cases her grandson's had, and there's quite a few of them down there. I don't know how he keeps on getting out of jail, and some of them are felonies, some of them are misdemeanors. He's really dangerous. I've seen a Confederate flag now 2 or 3 times in the last 7 years. The same people with the flag have damaged my properties. The third page here is my lease agreement with one of my tenants. This one is on the Lower East Side in a house that I bought when I was 19. I rent to a Hispanic male for $500. It's a 2-bedroom. I know they wouldn't want me to be renting to him. The second lease agreement I have here is to an African-American woman with 2 children on 31st and French. It has 2 bedrooms and an all-seasons room, and I rent to her for $635, but the taxes on there are quite a bit more. So I'm paying like $2 something a month for taxes, just on the taxes, not the I pay the water bill, the garbage. Third paper was one of my longest term tenants. She lives in a beautiful house, nicer than the one I live in. She pays $475 a month for a 2-bedroom. She's been with me like, I don't know, 14, 15, 16 years. I don't even know. The other lady on French Street, she lives in a house that's nicer than mine too. I treat my tenants with respect, kindness. I've been told that the reason why I want to do something about this is because it affects me financially. It does. But it affects my tenants financially. Them rents that I have there at $475 and $500, I can't do that when someone's taking a hatchet and chopping up the inside of my apartments and ripping stuff apart for drug money, telling me I should pay them drug money, telling my tenants they want drug money. And they display a Confederate flag. They assault me. I can't even mow my own grass after 3 because I'll get assaulted. I mow my tenant's grass and then I get assaulted. And this would never happen in Fairview. I'm just saying, or somewhere else. And it just happens in the Little Italy area, where I grew up, the house that my mom purchased with me. I can't even go there when I want to mow my own grass. And law enforcement's like, this is a tenant-landlord dispute. This guy, I never received a penny from him. He was never on my lease. I never knew who he was until he was destroying my property. And he says, well, you rent to his grandmother. No one's allowed to damage my property if they're my tenant or they're a stranger, they're the police, if they're the mayor, they're the president. They shouldn't be able to do this to me. I think if these were $1 million homes, they wouldn't be damaged. And if they were, the person would be prosecuted. Instead, these are $60,000 homes.
I do apologize. We have that 5 minute, we hit the 5 minute and then we're at 7, but I do thank you for coming down.
Right, and I want to keep my rents affordable. I hope law enforcement will see me Friday sometime, a detective, somebody. My tenants will prosecute their grandson.
Thank you.
With me.
At this point, we're going to pause public comment and we're going to go ahead and move into the public hearing section of the evening. I don't know if we need anything up on there. Is it okay if we keep this on the screen? If there's a presentation that we... Okay.
Tyler, you want me to read?
Excuse me.
Okay.
Tyler, do you want me to read those?
Yes, please
now?
go through. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So before you, because you would be a witness too. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, just this is for everyone's information. This is a legal proceeding. This is required. This waterfront conditional use is required to go in front of City Council. So because this is a legal proceeding, I'm just reminding everyone that everyone who comes up to the podium will need to be sworn in. You'll give your name, not where you live, your exact address, but your municipality, and then why you're for or against the project. And that relating, again, to specifically the Marketplace project. So everyone will need to maintain quiet for the speaker at the microphone. Everyone will need to remain quiet for the court reporter. The court reporter is recording this. This is going to be transcribed if needed. Please remember that the Planning Commission recommended this project for City Council's decision. That was the step before this. City Council, their focus will be to listen for evidence that this is compliant with sections 305 and 306 of the zoning code. City Council will not make a final decision tonight. And then the order of witnesses is that we have Cooper Moore here who will introduce the project, but then the developers will go first. So if there's anyone from the Marketplace team here that will speak, you'll do that. Second, we'll have anyone from the audience who wants to give some sort of public commentary about that. We'll go second. And then what we did last time was that if city council members had any questions, the developing team came up and answered questions about specifics. And then at that point, once we're all done, we'll close out the hearing and then move back on to public comment. Okay? Just a reminder, thank you. And also, this was raised before, if you are commenting on the Marketplace project, you have to give your name and municipality. If you come up again for regular public comment, you also have to give your name and municipality. So you have to do that twice. Okay? So just in case people are going to talk about both things. Thank you.
How do we want to do, Solicitor, the swearing in? Do we want to do like everybody now, or are we going to do it? Okay.
Everyone who's planning to make a comment, excuse me. Everyone who's planning to make a comment or testify should raise their hand right now so the court reporter can just swear everyone in at one time.
And I think it's also, even if you just be cautionary, if you think you might be inspired at some point, go ahead and get sworn in now.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Good evening, Council. Thank you. My name is Cooper Moore. I am a planner here in the Department of Neighborhood and Economic Development. I'm also the secretary to both the Design Review Committee and the Planning Commission. I'm here to introduce the Bayfront Market House project. Information has been sent to you ahead of time. This is a two-story mixed-use development located on a lot just south of the Convention Center on the Bayfront. The Design Review Committee and the Planning Commission have both reviewed this project and voted to recommend it to City Council. And to this point, the requirements that the city has in place have been satisfied. This is the waterfront conditional use approval. The project will come back to the city for Planning Commission approval for land development following a City Council vote for conditional use. And I will turn it over to the project team to give a presentation.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. I figured I'd start off. I'm Gus Pine, Executive Director for the Erie County Convention Center Authority. I figured it might make sense for me to give just a brief background on the project and how we got here, and then I'll hand things over to Megan Loney, our architectural representative, to talk specifically about the facility. Now, we are a county authority, but we are a unique county authority. I think that's for everybody in the room. We are, our appointees, we have 7 county appointees. They're appointed by each of the districts in the county. We have 2 mayoral appointees, and we have two governor appointees. So we have a broad representation, which I think is unique for our authority. Now, our mission as an authority is to support the quality of life for the citizens of Erie through a diverse selection of events and entertainment in world-class facilities. Now, I only have one picture to show, and I think this reminds me of Leanne's it's probably from 1966 as well, but this is an old picture of what the Bayfront used to look like. And I wasn't here at the time. I haven't been here through all of the developments that's happened on the Bayfront. But I think first and foremost, I think this community should commend itself on the work that's been done to date on the Bayfront. There was a time when industrial was important in this community on the Bayfront. That time has come and gone. It's now time to reimagine that. We've done some of that work, but that work's not done yet. Our authority, we own 29 acres on the Bayfront. Much of that, or a good portion of it, is the convention center complex. There's an additional 16 acres that's yet undeveloped. And in 2016, our authority did a study, and that study had input from the public. And there were several desired outcomes that came from that study, that came specifically through stakeholders and the public. It's connectivity, walkability, the maintenance of views from the bluff, and anything that was developed to be Erie-focused. The Market House we plan, located in the southernmost parking lot of the convention center, will meet these community objectives. Additionally, we plan to work with Mayor Devlin on future developments through her world-class waterfront project, which will continue to seek public input into the future. Now, we are currently contracting with an anchor tenant. We are in the process, so we don't have that secured yet, but we are having long conversations about the vision for what we want inside of the Market House. We want to create a spirited community hub that feels familiar to locals and offers an authentic taste of Erie for visitors. Now, our target demographic: local families, convention and hotel guests, college students, and tourists. I'd also like to note, we are going through our process for bids here soon. We will be utilizing a preferred labor agreement to maximize the use of local union labor in addition to a workforce inclusion agreement in order to maximize the use of minority labor throughout construction. Council, there's currently tremendous collaborative momentum in this community. We're eager to continue that momentum with the Market House project and look forward to Council's approval. I'd like to now hand things over to Megan Loney with POH Architects to review the building in more detail. And I've got, actually, our community report from 2025 has just hit the press, so I've got copies of these that I'd like to leave behind for everybody. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you all for your time today. We are thrilled to present the Bayfront Market House project to the community. The Market House is a gateway to the bay that expands the lively waterfront campus. It is coordinated carefully with the context of the surrounding area through space planning, orientation, and material choice. The building draws visitors towards the harbor, and pedestrian scale structure greets them with familiar red brick and warm earth tones, complementing the bayfront's natural beauty. Building signage is meant to be iconic and a calling card for Erie's waterfront. While staying within the overall height limitation of 50 feet, the sign sits prominently above the building. The solid steel frame allows for two-sided glowing backlit lettering visible to all patrons. The project seeks a variance to mount this building signage atop the roof, as slope topography and grade change render standard approved signage placement ineffective and largely unseen. Sight lines are obstructed further by the curve of the parkway and its winding indirect approach to the site, reducing visibility windows. Our goal is for this signage to get visitors to slow down their speeds on the active parkway to take in their surroundings. Design efforts have been mindful of maintaining the beautiful bayfront views from our neighboring bluff, and our final iteration decreases the overall height of the building and reduces number of stories from 3 to 2, as Cooper mentioned. The design team has also been mindful of pedestrian passage via West Front Street and screening views of trash and rooftop units from both vehicular and pedestrian traffic. Building aesthetics feel akin to a historic market building, showcasing long-term, durable materials, brick, stone, and steel. Per some comments that we received at the DRC and Planning Commission reviews, we've added brick reveals and additional precast concrete trim around the facades to add additional interest and break up the large expanses of brick. Entrances are oriented northeast toward the Presque Isle Yacht Club docks, embracing the pedestrian scale and calling boaters in from the harbor. Hardscape sidewalks and parking lot can be activated by outdoor vendors in the summer and fall months. We've also added ornamental grasses and hardy plant species around the hardscaped areas to help soften them. We hope to inform future development of the waterfront commercial campus, promoting growth and posterity in the community. This mixed-use market house evokes a thoughtful, adaptive reuse. Elevated spaces with exposed steel structure convey that the building is a valuable community asset. As a community-focused public space for all, the Bayfront Market House enhances the vibrant core of the city of Erie. Thank you.
We'll hold our questions until after the public comment, but thank you.
Thank you.
You can go ahead. Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure there's no one else coming up before all right. If you are going to, I do ask that, because sometimes it can get kind of crowded when we have the cameras over on this side, so if you're going to come up for comment and you've been sworn in, to please come up on the same side that Ms. Freda Tepfer is on.
And if you want to speak, whether you're in favor or against, now is the time to line up along the wall for everyone to know what's going on.
My name's Freda Tepfer. I live in the city of Erie, and I'm speaking against parts of this project. I actually don't know why the Erie Events is doing this. I mean, we could have a park there. We could have a really nice open space. But given, and there's like a huge amount of money going into this project. And originally there was supposed to be a grocery, and I read the most ridiculous thing in the article in the paper saying, since there's a wonderful grocery at Perry Square from Country Farms, they don't need it. But that grocery is a joke. It's just a glorified convenience store. So I really don't understand how that article took itself seriously. But one of the things that I listened to the Planning Commission meeting. It's not possible to get access to the Design Review Commission, but I was given some information from the Planning Department today. The variance for height, height variance for a glowing black backlit lettered sign seems to me out of character with the point of having that building on the bayfront. And the less lighting at night on the bayfront, the better. We already have too much lighting, and as you know, there's concerns with migratory birds and birds in general, and lighting. So I do not think that they should get a height variance for the glowing backlit lettering 50 feet high. So I wanted to make some comments about the landscape plan. According to BONAP, mountain azalea is only native to one county in south central Pennsylvania and a variety of counties in the southeast. There's lots of shrubs that would do well here. I especially recommend, if they're worried about height, Diervilla lanicera, bayberry, ninebar, clethra, hazel, serviceberry, witch hazel, and there are many more taller ones. But if they want a low height, I recommend Diervilla lanicera. It's been doing well in my garden since I planted it in 2012. According to the Missouri Botanical Garden website, Calamagrostis acutifolia, commonly known as feather reedgrass, is a hybrid resulting from a cross between two species native to Europe and Asia. Festuca glauca is native to Central and Southern Europe. So there's really no reason we should be planting these grasses. I would recommend big blue stem, little blue stem, northern sea oats, switchgrass, all of which are doing very well in my garden in the same climate, and don't take a lot of water. So that's one thing. I am concerned they mentioned large spans of glass. It should be designed to limit the amount of glass that would be hazardous to birds. Parking space should ensure that there is accessible parking close to the walking trails. One planning commission member did refer to the lack of addressing the food desert. It doesn't appear to be an important project to the community. Rather, it is a wannabe upscale project that is designed for tourists and visitors. It's not clear that this reflects an actual market and capacity. The entire process of approving plan after plan on the bayfront is a process that should have been done via master plan with an environmental impact statement. So at the very least, I would like them to address the vegetation plan. There's no reason we should be planting European natives in something that doesn't grow anywhere near this part of Pennsylvania. And we shouldn't be giving a height variance for a 50-foot glowing backlit sign. We don't need that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cole Shenley, and I'm a resident of the city of Erie. I'm here to speak generally in favor of the project. I don't think it's bad for having something like this in the bayfront. Unlike some of my comments I've made about other waterfront uses that we've come up, I think there could generally be like a positive development with this, especially because there's government oversight, given that this is a county authority. My only concern is with maybe perhaps the vagaries that go along with what this will ultimately be. We've heard that, it could have been a grocery store, or at least part of it would have been a grocery store. Now we're looking at more like farmers markets and local Erie goods and things like that. And with respect to Mr. Pine, I just think that's rather vague. I think that we need more detail. Obviously, they're within their, with how the Planning Commission and these kinds of organizations, there's all that kind of stuff has said, hey, they're meeting these standards. So the project itself would probably legally be allowed to go through, but I do wish that there was more intention behind what is actually going to be in this building. And I hope that comes out sooner rather than later. It should be something that should be more for not just tourists, but for the entire community. And I think the vagaries around it do give me some concern, but in general, I would say I would support the project. Thank you.
Thank you.
How you doing today?
Good?
My name is Donald Way. I was patiently waiting to get up here, and the other guy cut me off, but that's fine. Regarding this subject, I'm going to have a public comment meeting with you later as well, but this is regarding this. I don't care what building you put there. Less glass will be better as far as I'm concerned, because you might end up having heightened problems with drug addicts.
Did you state your name?
My name is Donald Way.
Okay.
But I'm also going to have a public comment as well. Excuse me, ma'am?
Your name and the municipality in which you live.
Erie, unfortunately, in the great state of what the hell are we doing here? I don't mind. I mean, if we have a building that's going to be taxpayer paid for, I don't care. As long as it doesn't impact the environment. My concerns are, is it just a privilege only kind of situation? What about people with disabilities? Is there going to be wheelchair accessibility for people with disabilities? Are people with disabilities such as autism? Is there going to be another misunderstanding where they feel that they have to call the police and arrest somebody for disorderly conduct when they're not disorderly at all? Maybe they're autistic. And the Erie Police Department, I can guarantee you, doesn't give a damn if you have a disability or not, which is in direct violation of the ADA Act of 1982. And I also like to put you guys all on notice, including the police department, along with the city solicitor, of legal notice of this whole systemic situation is in violation of state and federal law under the ADA. This building, is it just for certain people to be able to sell their goods there? Are we going to trust other farmers, legitimate or illegitimate, to bring produce to this place? Is it going to turn into, years later, a flea market? You know what I'm saying? I don't think there should be any kind of grasses or weeds or trees from other countries. That's not necessary. You know what I'm saying? We don't need like problems later down the line with indigenous species, interrupting in the environment. What's wrong with rose bushes? Why not something beautiful? Why not have people treat people with dignity and a softer hand with people with disabilities? Because I'm sick and tired of being misunderstood and mistreated and the malfeasance on behalf of the city of Erie, as well as the Erie Police Department and other municipalities such as the Sheriff's Department. I can share a quick story with you. 6/7/98, I put it up, gave it to him. I was arrested for disorderly
Mr.
conduct.
Way, Mr.
Yes.
Way, what you're talking about is not directly related to the marketplace project. What you're trying to do, I think, is you want to keep that for public comment when public comment reopens. This is part of a public hearing about the Market House plan.
This has to do with reference to people with disabilities and how the untreatment of people with disabilities conflict with the police department's policy, procedures, and protocols.
Mr. Way, you've already stated that you would like the Market House District to be compliant with the ADA law. So that
Yes.
is something that the developers will have to incorporate into their plan. But what you're talking about, in a sense, is something a little bit different, and that would be better left for public comment, actual public comment.
Well, I mean, the city can stay in violation. I mean, you do understand it's a felony, right? Be careful. You know what I'm saying? I want equal treatment for everybody, but with people with disabilities, we don't grab it right away. We don't understand where your point of view is and where you're coming from. And that doesn't mean we should be in handcuffs because there is some misunderstanding because we don't grab your concept right away. There has to be decency for all, not just for some. And I'll speak again at my public comment. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
My name is Bob Strasser. I am a resident of Erie's Lower East Side, and I'm in favor of this project. I think it was a couple years back I came and spoke about the development of the Bayfront, and my personal experiences were like visiting a city like Baltimore with their Inner Harbor, and I stated at that time if Erie had a project like that with like some buildings like the marketplace is going to be, if we did 1/3 the size of what Baltimore does it, we would consider it successful. So this is a step in the direction outside of building hotels, which apparently we're going to have that, so that part of it's taken care of. But having a building like this with maybe some private sector businesses in there or farmers market, where they'll be paying taxes into the city, so we have some revenue coming in. I'm not really sure at everything involved with this, if there are going to be like any nonprofit type things located in there. I would like to stay away from that, but anything that from the private sector that would generate tax revenue for the city of Erie, and create jobs for citizens of Erie, I'm in favor of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Eric Peterson. I'm from Mill Creek. I wanted to come out and say I'm against this project. Mainly in just, we've seen over and over again as people in this community we see constantly money going into these ventures and not focused on the issues of the community, which I'll add more for public comment, but yeah, I'm just going to say I'm against it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jim Newber, Fairview Township resident, 44 years in Erie. But I am for this project. I'm on the Convention Center Authority Board for 2 years, and everything I've seen there is a class act. They do it all first class. What Mr. Pine had referenced, the PLA, Project Labor Agreement, which states that Erie County residents will be manning this work as it's being built. That means money paid to Erie County residents. It'll be spent in Erie County. Taxes will be kept in Erie County, school taxes, municipality taxes. There is an inclusion clause also. 10% of all the hours worked on this project will be performed by minority/women in the trades, and everything. The PLA has been used for most of their projects, the ballpark, the Warner Theater, Convention Center, of course, and all those projects have come in on budget and on time. So I'm definitely for this project. Thank you.
Teresa Imler, City of Erie. I honestly cannot say whether I am for or against this. I'm just very concerned, confused about why we continue to build on the bayfront in little piecemeals. It seems like we're putting together the funkiest puzzle that I ever have imagined. I mean, the fact that we even started tonight with a picture from, they don't even know when, from the 60s of the bayfront. That was the east side, not even the west side that they're proposing this property at. So a lot of misleading, even the way that they're discussing it. So I really would like to address the bayfront in totality and what Erie is actually looking at here, not Scots want to take this part, they want to take this part for the market house. 16, what I think he said, 16 acres that is undeveloped. I think that's wonderful. I would love to see it stay 16, maybe more. If we're going to do something, though, let's make sure that we're actually looking at the totality of it. This is not beneficial to the citizens. Plus, as we continue to do this, we have to remember the impacts of everything that we're doing on the bayfront to the rest of the city. Again, we'll discuss it further, but we know the things when the bayfront and when the bluffs have been touched, it's going to affect other things. It's going to affect the rodents. It's going to affect just the grounds itself and how that impacts the city residents. I also just wanted to make a little comment. It's probably a little snarky, but I don't see this marketplace being the gateway to the bay. The public dock is the gateway to the bay. That's it. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sydney Zimmerman. I live in the city of Erie. So I think that there hasn't been enough information presented to the public for me to make a decision on whether I am for or against this. I do appreciate the fact that y'all mentioned that the project has labor agreements, but we didn't get any details on what those agreements are. How many minority, how many women, what's the pay rate? So seeing some details would be appreciated. You know, when you guys talked about who this was for, I heard college kids. You guys wanted to be for families. You wanted to be for tourists. There was a fourth one. I think it started with a C, but I missed it. At no point, though, did I hear single individuals or, people who are in partnerships but don't have children. So for me, it feels like you're leaving out a big group of people. Because in the plan, I believe it says that this is for, it's group or family oriented. I'd like to have a third space where individuals can feel comfortable coming out. And to have something that's purely, it seems revolving around buying, shopping, it would be nice to see more activity that is a third space. It's not necessarily somewhere you have to go and feel like you're gonna get run out if you don't buy something, if that makes sense. I agree also with others. Freda, she's much more knowledgeable about plant species that are non-invasive, that are local, so I would follow her lead. But I believe that making sure that we have plants that are non-invasive, that are local to our area, I mean, it's good for the environment, and we have beautiful plants to choose from, so why not do that? I do have a concern that this marketplace is not well thought out. It's been, 10 years? That this has been going on. You guys have it's a $14 million project. And I find it very bizarre that after 10 years, we don't have a clear answer of what exactly is going to be inside of this place. And quite frankly, I think that more outreach to the public, better outreach, literally going into the community. The fact that this is just centered on the bayfront, and that's something with Erie Events that I wanted to address, is that you guys are very much centered on downtown and the bayfront. Erie is much larger than that. We have communities from west to east. We have parks, we have other places that could be developed, and the fact that we're focusing solely on the bayfront to develop it, it's gonna block the view. I understand that we went from 3 to 2 stories. We're trying to get a variance just for the sign so you can see it while you're driving. But that bayfront view has been taken away more and more over time. I mean, even the strip between like Waterworks and when you're headed more towards like the 8 Great Tuesday venue, there's a big concrete wall. You can't even see out your car and look out the window if you have a lower car these days. I remember when that was put in, and every time I drive past it, I feel blocked off from my lake, from my city. And so I agree that having a public dock, keeping the space open, I mean, even the plan that we looked at, the one that is online with Kevin Flowers, excuse me, not that we looked at, but the one that's online with Kevin Flowers' article, it shows that you have these like cement squares within the grass, and a gentleman mentioned ADA compliance. How is a person in a wheelchair gonna get through that or over that surface? Perhaps it's possible, I'm not an expert, but these kind of things, we need to be thoughtful about them. And I think that spreading out into the community, keeping as much green space as we can, planting trees, we need shade to keep things cool. And, you know, I think that branching out and using our minds to have different ideas than just building and blocking the bayfront. I mean, the idea of a public dock, fishing, it would be great if we could invest in some type of ferry to go from our side to the peninsula and bring people down that way. I mean, we got to get a little bit more creative, I think, and to ensure that we don't have another repeat of what happened in Perry Square. The EDDC came in, there were 4 restaurants locally owned that were in that area. They could have brought them into the fold, used some of them, brought in other people, because, you know, when I go to the food hall, it's not really jumping, guys. And it's expensive. It's very expensive. And it's in the poorest, one of the poorest zip codes, if not the poorest zip code in the country, 16501. And so that is why there's a co-fare there instead of a co-op now, because it wasn't successful. It wasn't meeting the needs of the community. And so I really think that we need to be thoughtful in meeting the needs of the community. And I think that if you guys are going to come here and ask to do a plan, you need to have the plan thought out. We need to know what's going inside there. It's very unfair to say, hey, we want to do this. Let's spend taxpayer money. It's going to be great, but we don't know what's going in there. So I think there's a lot that needs to be addressed and expounded upon. I hope that we can see that as the public before this is approved. Thank you.
My name is Michael Piscalny. I'm from Harper Creek. Do I have to say anything else, or is that?
Just your name and your municipality.
Michael Piscalny, Harper Creek.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the development of the Bayfront and the hotels and all these projects worth tens of millions of dollars are insanity. I think that we're facing a point in history where we have climate change that's going to take effect pretty soon. We're kind of locked into that, unfortunately. And all these projects and hotels are just, if you look at pictures of the Bayfront before this development, it was beautiful. It was a place where people could go to enjoy the nature. It kind of reminded me of just like a natural place for people within the community to call home, and like a natural place that remained how it was because it should remain how it was. I think this money should be invested into the Black and brown community immediately. I think there should be immediately like a town hall held in the Black and brown community in Erie, and that money should be invested in that community that needs it, because these developments on the Bayfront, how is that going to help the poverty in Erie, honestly? If you're really thinking about it, if there's a system of segregation, and think about if you were struggling in the Black and brown community, and you see all these projects worth tens of millions of dollars being enacted on the Bayfront. You see Josh Shapiro coming in with the American flag. We're kind of sucking up to him to get all this money. I mean, I just think we need to invest in other areas of Erie first and foremost to bring everyone up to an equal, material conditions, and that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Excuse me, I'm Arthur Gamble from Erie, actually from French Street. And can I just say what they said? And again, with all due respect, I'm going to talk about some other things as well, but I mean, if we all grew up here, the people that grew up here, what the Bayfront and what Erie was to us, it was phenomenal. It was a meeting place that we all came to. Thousands of people came down over the weekends. We all did things together. We used to fish under the old grain elevator. We used to jump the fence. I'm telling you, and fish next to the Niagara because the silver bass would come under there, and it was like a tunnel, and you could take them out 30 at a time. And everybody used the community. I lived in Los Angeles. I lived in Baltimore. I'm familiar with the harbor. I went to law school there. And I'll tell you, the one thing that they did in Baltimore that's a little bit different is they put the hotels on the other side of the street, right? So they're on the city side. So the Bay Area is wide open and everybody still had access. That's done already. So so it's already done. But the thing is, I mean, we could talk about how we feel, right? As Erieites and as people, to come down, and as beautiful and as phenomenal, I went there this weekend, went to the Courtyard, got some lunch. As beautiful and as nice as the Sheraton, the Courtyard, and all the other places are, you almost feel like a stranger when you go to those environments that have $300 hotel rooms in the same zip code or similar zip code as the poorest zip code in the nation, with no community benefit agreement offered, whereby if you're local, they even do this at Universal Studios. If you live in Los Angeles, instead of paying $200, you can pay the low price of $120, right? In a place where the population and the economic situation is what it is, it's almost embarrassing. It's painful to think that people come here as outsiders, can bypass the main parts of the city, go on the Bayfront, go and stay at this wonderful, hotel, go have fun, go to the game, and then bypass and leave the city. Maybe stop at the casino on the way out, bypassing a whole city full of people that are paying for, yet almost excluded from places that used to be free, right? Perry Square, beautiful, Erie Insurance, great company. I'm an entrepreneur as well, I get it, I understand that. But at some point, we have to really think about real community benefit. The conversation about black and brown people and other folks, a rising tide lifts all boats, right? So if we have some of the poorest zip codes in the nation, and we have people that are considered the worst city in America for African Americans, I didn't say it, USA Today, New York Times. If that's a reality, how do we go from worst to first with that group and get the benefits of working in those areas, like they said, working and building the community? I think you get a more of a benefit than that. And these outstanding development, these businesses, we love to have them here. They don't necessarily, like you said, have to be on the Bayfront per se, right? And there's still opportunities, and we love those projects. In fact, I work with developers and try to get them involved in projects like these. However, when we talk about, the benefit of jobs, and that sounds good, it sounds cute on paper, but when you say a 10% job that's going to last a couple of months, and call that equity, that's why we are considered the worst city in America for African Americans. I'm a native son, went to all public schools here. And I won't, talk about opportunities in the school district. I have a lot to offer, law school, business, finance, all this other stuff that I want to give away. I want to come back to the community centers that we grew up with and provide information, And we have a lot of people that are talented, that went to a lot of places. We have to start focusing on people and really genuinely bringing people in and really collaborating genuinely and working together. And I think we get the maximum benefit out of that. Now, again, not to disrespect or disregard anybody's hard work and everything, but that same effort applied just literally a few blocks over out the way still provides access to the most beautiful place. Erie is a gem that a lot of people really don't realize. Coming back home, I try to tell everybody this is one of the best places in America. I won't say on earth, I haven't been all around, but I know with regard to California, if you had these same views, these same neighborhoods, and we have to protect them because we haven't encountered people from all over. Boston would come in and take these land and buy this land and get us out of here and build hotels and buildings and get the benefit of things that we kind of took for granted. We didn't understand the value. And the main thing is that we value each other, we respect each other, and really talk to each other and engage early in these processes. It's great to bring in outside consultants, but you have a lot of brain trust. You have people here with real life experience and all the education. We have so many people here that could do wonderful things. I think we need to be more insular and really think about our goals. Writing to grants, because they'll put a grant out and we'll go chase a grant, and it kind of looks pat smart, piecemeal, we kind of put it together. Let's sit down and design what we want and build things based on, who we are. Because sometimes we have an inferiority complex in some regards, and at the same time, sometimes we have a superiority context. And last thing, and I won't continue to go on, but right now, we're facing some very tumultuous times. We're facing an era of just outright hatred and meanness and, disrespect and disregard. But the thing that's even worse than that is the silence. The silence. We knew who everyone's was. They laid out their agenda and how mean they were going to be and all this, and we cheered or we passively sat by. I think we kind of flipped the district, it seemed like almost, because when I grew up, I won't, whether Democrat, Republican, I don't care. What I care about is humanity. And I think we lost touch with humanity. And let's just slow down for a minute. The money is here. We got resources coming. Let's just take advantage of our capacity to think through it. Last thing, I live and grew up on French Street. Erie, like not a lot of places, have plenty of places to ride bikes and Frontier Park and all these other things that you have all over the city. A bike path on French Street, my property is on French Street. In fact, a lot of people's property have been damaged, and we'll address that.
I apologize, I don't want to cut you off. We'll just have to keep it to
I'll finish that up
but
right
just
now.
project, sorry.
Okay, I'll finish that up. This project with the bike path going up French Street, we have 3 months, if we're lucky, of warm weather, nice weather where you can ride a bike. After that, it's winter. So the cost-benefit analysis of 3 months of a bike path, when there are other alternatives.
With this project, it can only be on the Market House, the Marketplace.
The Marketplace?
Yes.
Not related to the French Street project? And all
No,
the
that
other
can come
things?
back in public comment, but
okay.
thank you.
All right, well, thank you. My thing is, we're all good people. People are well-intended, so there's no disrespect. The fact is, we need to collectively, really think about and plan. There's no rush to spend the money. There's plenty of money. Money's going to come. And there are several projects that we can all benefit from. So I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to come up. Thank you for your consistent advocacy, and thank you for working to bring people together. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Hi, Cindy Schreiber. I am a lifelong resident, born and raised in Erie and live in Edinburgh. I wanted to touch on some of the comments that have been made about what seems like I understand it's been 10 years, and I understand we have all this money, and I understand that we want to do things quickly, and I understand we want to make change, and I understand we want a better Erie, but I was having a conversation 2 weeks ago at my granddaughter's birthday party with the son of the owner of the only fish market in Erie. Presque Isle Fish, she just sent me it. Yes, owned by Jim Schaefer. I said, hey, does your dad know about this market? Because his fishing business is also right down there. And he had no idea. The only fish market owned by a local, the only charter that has a fish market whose boats are all down at the water, and he had no idea about this. And he would love to participate, but is he going to be put into bankruptcy by what the rent's going to cost? So what are we doing if we're building something for Erie if we're not talking to people in Erie? If we're not talking to businesses that literally, this is reminds me of living in Washington and Pike Market and the fish market there. Why would that not be one of the staple businesses that you would approach? Why would you not be talking to people like that? It's not like there's 12 fish markets. There's one guy, right? One guy, and his boats are right there. And he would love to do it, but what is the rent going to be like? Is there going to be subsidization? Is there going to be help for local businesses in order to participate in that market? So when we're talking about we don't even know what's going in there, we don't even know Who's going to be there, what businesses, how it's going to function? Well, yeah, guess what? Nobody knows, not even people who should be there. And this is not a plug for them, but it's, if anybody should know, it would be people who fish those waters, who sell their fish locally. That would be kind of a no-brainer. So I just want to really reiterate, I think we need to put more thought process into who's going in there, what we're looking for down there, and who is it for? Because, Mr. Gamble was saying about the dock, right? That's what we used to call it. We used to go cruise the dock when we were little. My grandmother and her best friend used to take their dentures out and dress up in tutus and go scare all the kids when they were driving around the dock. You know what I mean? And it was funny, right? And then my dad would take me and watch the kids dive off of the crane tower. And we spent a lot of time down there. I don't go downtown. Oliver's Beer Garden is a mess on any given night. My kids that are of drinking age won't even go down there. It's not a family-friendly situation. It's not a young professional-friendly situation. It's not a take-your-kids-friendly situation. Everything is now blocked. All the pretty stuff we wanted to see is now blocked by $300, $400 a night hotel rooms. My in-laws have traveled all over the country. They go to Germany, they go to Japan, they eat French Laundry. They won't even stay down at the Bayfront because the costs for hotel rooms are too much money. We have outpriced visitors and our own people by wanting to appreciate what's there. And then we're not even talking to people who want to invest themselves in this market. So I think we really need to step back and think about what is our goal? Who are we marketing to? Who is this market house marketing to? And that's great. The marina, the private marina is going to have their own access entry point. Wow, come on. That's not really what matters. Thank you.
Julio Reyes, 1607 State Street, Erie, but I am a California resident. I was coming only as a spectator, but by listening to some people here, I'm forced to speak.
Did you get sworn in?
Yes, I did.
Okay, just checking. Thank you.
But if not, we could do it again.
No, I believe you. I trust you.
All right. I lost my thought. I am against this project. I've been around Erie, PA since the late 80s. And one of the things that really distress me the most is the wasted opportunities for the future generations. All this nonsense about variances only hurt people. They don't have any idea what they are doing. I'm pretty sure that they have spent a lot of money with architects and consultants and whatever, and I think they see it as a good business opportunity. I had the opportunity to watch, I couldn't attend in person to the new mayor presentation, 100 Years, which was great, and I compliment the current administration for what they are doing and the team that they put together. At the closing statement, Daria mentioned that she has a plan for the Bay. I think this particular project must be stopped and give her the opportunity to present the whole view, taking into consideration what a lot of speakers have been said about this marketplace, about all these different dreams. I see deja vu like Gannon wanted to do with the public library. It started as the Neptune project, then it went to something else, to something else, to something else, because the money is there. Let's spend the money. In this particular project, originally was going to have a marketplace for the people, a grocery store. And now they are saying it's not going to be part of that because it will be competing against the marketplace that it is, or the grocery store that it is now in downtown, or even the one in the EMTA. I really encourage you to stop this and give the current administration time to present the master plan where everybody is going to be figured out what really needs to be happening for the future. Not for next year, not for the next 2-3 years, not to make money out of a project, but to say when all of us are dead, The bay will be there and will be something for history to remain. Earlier in this meeting, you saw a presentation of people talking about access, health, environment, bicycling, and if you see those blueprints, you only see cars. I'm pretty sure that none of these people working there in this project have ever been going there fishing with all the trash on the lake. And people are pulling the fish out there because there is no provision to pull the trash. And I think really my point is we need to stop. We listen to the consultants, but we need to be smart enough to know better. I've been around this town for many, many years. This is the cleanest April streets that I've ever seen in my lifetime here. Why? Because she made the commitment. And as a leader, when somebody makes the commitment, it will go through history. I encourage public-private relationships for the benefit of all. But I don't get into quotas for minorities. I compete and I win, not because I am Mexican. I compete and win because I am the best. That's what we need to promote to every people. Actually, a few years ago, she did a project in the East, Wayne Street, I think Wayne. If you go and you visit that place, I don't know the name of the guy, I think it's from Pittsburgh, but it says there, what's the best capital there is? Human capital. Here in this town, wasted opportunities. Wasted opportunities because they don't listen to the people and they don't take advantage of the human capital that exists in this place. And then you see these silly plants, no consideration for plants or local plants. Instead of going up, they should go down, dig the damn thing down, park the cars underground, and do it like the civilized world will do it. Or build an arch, like in St. Louis, or an Eiffel Tower or something big. Don't settle for nickels. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Julie Hurt. I live in Mill Creek. So Erie has a tendency to go into these grand, expensive plans. I remember years ago when we built Market Tool Square, which was supposed to be basically what this marketplace is, in my view, what they're trying to do with this marketplace. And it was a huge failure. It's office space now. We're talking about building a huge building. We have no tenants planned. It doesn't sound like we've recruited local people. A number of years ago, I believe Wachters Architects drew a plan of mixed use, housing, apartments, galleries, stores, marinas down on the bayfront. And it was a great idea. It would have very similar things that this marketplace is supposed to bring, but it would be for people of Erie. Erie has a huge problem with housing that's affordable. Let's put something that's beneficial to Erieites. And a grocery store down there is not a good idea. There's a food desert up in Erie. Nobody's going to go on the bayfront to go grocery shopping. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Brett McCorkle, City of Erie. To start, I would just like to reference, whenever I think about the Bayfront, I think I'm attributing this quote correctly. I believe it was Bruce Katz in the Erie Reimagined Planning. Talks about, I can't imagine a more underutilized resource in the United States than Erie's Bayfront. Right? That has resonated with me for a long time of what potential that space has. And I'd like to focus on more just feedback about what is being proposed. I would articulate my feedback as intentional design. The most important part of intentional design is what you're hearing today, getting feedback, hearing the voice of the people you're trying to serve. But I get concerned when the pitch starts with 10 years ago, we did a survey, and this is what people told us they wanted. If I proposed a business case at work with a survey data that was 10 years old, I'd probably have to start over. I'll take a step back and just say, looking at what was proposed today, I want to point out a few things of what I see in the design. Namely, I counted, there's a roughly, I probably don't have the number exactly right, about 60 plus parking spaces around this building. That's already positioned next to one of the largest surface lots and 2 parking ramps right on the bayfront. That's a lot of parking right next to this structure, where you could either prioritize public access, where I don't really see a plan for EMTA access and drop-off points for buses, or at least wasn't mentioned in the plan, and less need to have cars parked right next to it. It might even improve the sight lines from that building out to the water, which is, I'm assuming, what they're trying to do by putting the utility side of things on the south end of that building. And I guess last, I'll just point out, I understand the want it to kind of create awareness of what that building is, have a large, obvious sign. You see it in larger cities. The City of Erie Food Bank, you know exactly where that place is, because you pass it on 90, Route 2, like you see that sign from a ways away, and you know exactly what's there. What wasn't really talked about in the plan, or what was mentioned today, is context of where that building sits and the way it's positioned. Because about 50 feet to the left of that, what would be the southwest, is the Bayfront Convention Center sign, which is also like 50 feet in the air, and a very brightly lit, large sign. So I would think about, again, intentional design. How do these things work together? And how do the things that are already there blend in with what you're proposing to put in that space and support each other, as opposed to being these independent pockets? So, thanks.
Thank you. Just want to make sure that we got you sworn.
I was not sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Yeah, so I would, Michael Keys, Michaelkeys. So I agree with everything that has been said. So the Bayfront is our gem. They say the one thing that God isn't making any more of is property or space or land. And this is the last piece of unencumbered Bayfront that we have. You realize during the last 20 years, which I'm not saying it's a plus or a minus, it went from a mile plus of Bayfront access. I'm of that generation that also used to cruise the dock, where the dock was open and people congregated and would meet there and socialize and take in the view and take in the amenities that were available. But this is the last piece of open Bayfront space that we have. And so I stand against it, because I think if we do have to develop this last piece of land, that there's something better that we could do with it. To include, we're already expanding parking there. If you go to other waterfronts like Baltimore, nobody parks at the Baltimore Harbor. Everybody shuttles to the Baltimore Harbor. We don't need parking on our bayfront. It is a poor use of the land. The one part I do like is the overpass being able to come down off the bluff, if that's still in play. I think it's necessary that we connect the bayfront with the rest of the city. But I will also say that the city's trying to solve, and the bayfront's trying to solve a problem it really doesn't have. It has a logistics problem. it doesn't have a draw problem where we need a market. On the Bayfront, the Mill Creek Mall is 7 minutes away. The problem is, how do you get there? It's a logistical problem. It's not an actual problem. You know, you could partner with the EMTA or private trolleys or something, so when people come in for conventions, they could put a whole bus of people out there, take them to the Mill Creek Mall, take them to Summit, and then turn around and bring them back. And you don't need this, because during the time of the year that people are going to be at the Bayfront is not going to be enough to sustain it. And so we have a logistical problem. The Erie events and the port and whoever else is involved in this need to get together and figure out how to solve your logistical problem. We have places to shop. We just need to get the people who are on the Bayfront out to the places that we already have. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else to testify in the public hearing part before council asks questions? Okay, then I will bring it over to council questions.
I guess my first question is the illusion of if we build it, they will come, and not exactly knowing what exactly is going to be inside the marketplace. As a born and raised Erie of the Lower East Side, I grew up on 5th and Wallace. It's a food desert, and we've had in the last 10 years many efforts to try to put a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound, pretty much as far as the food desert effort goes. I don't like the idea of not communicating with the one business that's already down there and seeing how they would work collectively or collaboratively with you. But what are you hoping you can put inside the marketplace? Because right now the idea of it is nice, but not having things that family can do where they're bringing their children has been something I've heard many years while being on council. So I just need to know what your vision is so the community can know what the vision is, because right now we're not seeing it.
Okay, well, the one anchor tenant that we're working with, we don't have a contract with. So I'm not at liberty to talk about the specifics of that because I don't have a contract. And I shared in my comments what the vision was with that tenant, and that was to be family friendly, we're going to have 2 connection points now to the Bayfront once the Parkway's done. We're going to have one at Holland, and we're going to have one directly at SAS. The idea is to attract families. We've obviously got tourists down there. We need to be attractive to tourists as well, college students. We create a marketing plan. There's actually single pods planned in there for students to come and sit by themselves, third spaces that were mentioned before. They're not the major target market, but we are carving out space for that. In terms of the public market portion of the building, I haven't spoken to the fish market gentleman. I will tell you, I've had a tremendous amount of conversations trying to get business partners to come in for a market concept. The reality of it is it's difficult. And if you do a stall style of market, it's extremely difficult because it becomes, I think it was mentioned earlier, it's expensive for those people to have a stall. Let's say it was a locally sourced honey producer. Well, usually that's one person that's running that business. And if they're sick or, God forbid, they're out collecting honey, it's very difficult for them to meet the market hours. So they have a very difficult time. They come and go, which I think we see some of that in the downtown food hall. You get plenty of turnover. What I did like, and I think I mentioned it in the Erie Reader article that's out in this recent last paper that came out, I like the consignment. So we will find locally sourced products and we will consign their products for them. That's the idea of the market, so we manage that so they don't have to put labor hours in, plus they don't have all the extra overhead of actually renting a market space. So we can get a tremendous amount of products locally sourced without having the burden for that single business owner to try to manage.
How is that sustainable?
Can you turn it
Yeah. How is that sustainable? Because that doesn't seem like a sustainable plan.
Well,
to use local to fill the building. I mean, and I have to echo what many of the residents have said here this evening. It's a lot of vagaries, and it doesn't really sound like a definitive plan other than to put a structure there. And so the first thing I would ask about the structure, will the structure be taxed, or will it be under the convention center continuous path law where you guys don't pay any taxes on it? And if that's the case, would there be room to talk about community benefit agreements? Because if you build it, they'll come and just handle up and just settle up and make the developer happy. That doesn't do a lot for people on top of that bluff in the 16501.
Well, you have several questions there. Will it be taxable? No, the tenants would ultimately be taxable. Our authority, we are funded through hotel tax. No Erie residents, none of the taxes from Erie residents go to supporting our venues. But we also run our properties at a subsidy. We run the Warner Theater. We now manage the zoo. We've got the arena, the ballpark. These all operate at a subsidy. They take money to operate for the benefit of the community.
I get that. I get that you have $1 billion plus in assets, and I also get that the state prohibits us from getting a single dime of tax income off of it. I understand that because of all of the site work that was done on a lot of the taxpayers' back to prepare for any of this development down there, of which I'm intricately aware of. I grew up at the foot of Sass. I worked on every leg of the Bayfront Highway from 26th Street all the way back around up to past Barron over Wintergreen Gorge. I was a labor steward for the hotel, the convention center, the Sheraton, the convention center, and the parking ramp. My grandmother cleaned that bathroom up from the 60s for over a decade, almost 2. It's my favorite spot in the whole wide world. Access has been depleted. The convention center is doing great things. They have been a great community partner. But many of the things that are being raised here this night are legitimate. And although no one's really interested in stopping the project, we want to know how it benefits the community, because it don't really seem like it does.
Are you asking me a question?
We want to know how it benefits the community.
Yeah, no, okay.
That sounds like a question.
Yeah, well, I thought I laid that out. And again, I can't go into specifics, but we are going to have locally sourced products. So there's tremendous amount of demand for the Bayfront, and there's demand from locals. There's demand from tourists. When tourists come to town, they want to do what the locals do. The prospective tenant that we're working with.
We just have to be mindful of, please, if we're in and you're not at the mic, please just be mindful. Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, we need to be quiet because the court reporter is trying to transcribe what everyone's saying. So it really is important to stay calm. Okay, so we really would appreciate you could do that. Thank you.
Yeah, the tenant that we are working with, we have specific direction to them that this isn't going to be just some sort of restaurant or something. This is going to be something that is going to attract people down there for 2 hours at a time. This will be an attraction that people will want to go to. And it will, both to locals as well as tourists.
Kind of tough on the locals, because if I would how many locals would you think have the opportunity to spend a night in the Sheraton or the Marriott or even the Hampton down there at $300-400 a night?
Well, we get thousands of people that come down to the home show, that come down to Comic-Con. Those shows, those public shows that we have, which you're quite right, a lot of times those are the only times that Erieites are in the convention center. We actually, those shows were going away. We actually, the people who own that, they were local and they were retiring, and we actually purchased that business to be able to keep local public shows going. That's why we still have the Comic-Con home show We are committed to locals.
You think people on 16501 are attending the home show and the car shows?
The craft show?
You
I hope
think-
so. I hope so.
Okay, I'm good.
Do we have other questions from council?
I just had one, and it might not have anything to do with, everybody, a few people came up and referenced Baltimore, and we're, we should be like the Baltimore, Bayfront or whatever it is, Marketplace, yes, thank you. But I have been hearing bad things about that. Baltimore was good for a while, and then now all of a sudden there's safety concerns, they're losing money. I just want whatever goes in there, because it's going to be, I don't want it to be a public safety issue. I want the residents of Erie, if and when there is something for the residents to go down to, they feel safe there. That's my main concern right now is because a lot of things, such as Modern Tool Square, like someone mentioned, it gets built up and then it gets, put on the wayside and it falls short. I just don't want to see this fall short. I want, if we need more community involvement before we make a decision, maybe I want it to be a community.
Somebody had mentioned something about sensitivity to autism and disability. We actually just did a training with all of our part-time staff, and we specifically brought somebody in to educate us on how to properly address somebody who may have autism. And the point was actually a good one. Sometimes you don't know. That's an issue that sometimes hides itself. It's a spectrum. So those are things that we focus on as well for all of our facilities, and we certainly would for that venue as well.
Thank you.
I'm happy to hear that there's some type of training going into play for the autistic community. We have a large community in our city that is the intellectually disabled and autistic, and they do use the public spaces quite regularly, and I know the dock is a regular walking path for them. And I know that with all of the development that we are putting down there, that we have to make sure that we always remember the public access. Like, that's a big thing, is a lot of the community that grew up in Erie feels as though the Bayfront is being taken and stripped away from them. As somebody who, I don't go down there after 5 because I don't like the crowds that come, I don't like the activity of drinking, I don't like the idea of being aggressively pushed out at sunset, if that makes sense, because you get aggressive down there if you're not spending money at the businesses. So as community members who are low income, who don't have access to many amenities to be able to spend at the businesses down there, the one access we do have is our view of the water. So I definitely want to see something, an update on the sign variance, just because I don't like the idea of it being so big, so bright, and it's going to be kind of working against what the Bayfront connector already has going on. So we need to make sure that we're paying attention to that.
Are you speaking to the large sign that's existing right now?
Well, the new business is going to have the large sign that you want the variance for.
Yes.
But then somebody else mentioned that the sign of your already Bayfront Convention Center is already...
That is being demolished as part of this project.
Okay.
The hall signage will actually completely go away.
Okay, so it's just the one that you're getting the variance for right
Yes.
now, so...
Definitely different.
Will there be any Erie branding on there, or will it just say Bayfront? Will there, the entire Bayfront has already been balkanized. Everybody's got their little portion of it, except for the citizens. And so I don't see a lot of Erie branding down there. I see, Glasgow Library, I see Gannon's thing going. I'm concerned that I don't want signage down there that's so big that it makes Erie's sign look this big, and everything down there is lit up and geared towards the convention center. And I do want to also say before I close that, the convention center is, have been a good partner with Erie County, of which I was blessed to really do some good work with you over there. They enjoy benefits that not many other people enjoy, and that they don't have to pay taxes for the continuous thing. When I first got on county council, my very first vote was the refinancing of the convention center loan. I think $11 million, $17 million, they were going to save $11 million. And we introduced at that time, the very first time, I believe, community benefit agreement language. We weren't able to get there yet, but we're working diligently towards that. And we feel that a lot of people come inside and they use all of the facilities, our $1 billion worth of assets that you all that you have under the authority or Erie events. They don't really shop and they don't really do a lot from that waterfront. To Mr. Key's point, they come in and they leave. That's what that Bayfront Highway is, and it is a highway. It was billed as a parkway, which a parkway, I guess, is 35 miles an hour. And I defy anybody to find anybody driving 35 miles an hour on the Bayfront Highway. And the last thing that I would say about the convention center itself is not only can they not use that hotel, but very few residents where we have lower wages than the national, lower wages than the state, where black and brown unemployment is higher, probably higher than the national average. We don't get to go to all of those Erie Seawolves, Warner Theater, Disney on Ice events. It's not a lot. And so we do want to kind of